one of the main reasons I did not pursue neurosurgery is the fact that I saw an accident one day, and it was a really fatal accident in Lagos now. So a bike rider carrying maybe more than 2 people collided with a truck. So brains were on the floor, literally brain matter, and I was shaking so much. I was crying. I was completely destabilized.
Hello everyone! Hey everyone, my name is Adedoyin Owoni and I'm your host on Finding Doing. Welcome to 2024 once again. If you missed the last video, please make sure you go and see it. Today I'm here, and of course I'm not alone. I'm here with my beautiful, delectable, amazing, brains, very smart cousin, Sophie. Hi Sophie, introduce yourself to.
Hi, now I'm gonna blush because I feel like I'm already turning like red or pink. Hello everyone, my name is Sophie Damilola Anjorin. I am Funsha's cousin. I feel very honored to be your cousin, Doyin's cousin.
Exactly. Because you know guys, I don't bring anybody here.
Yeah, we go way back, like way back.
I mean, some people, I don't post that in a while, but regardless, I don't still bring just anybody here. So if you see someone sitting here, you know it's going to be a special episode.
I feel super honored to be here. It's
always special with me, but you know, thank you very much, you know, for having. So she's visiting Austin. And we're like, you know what, it'll be cool to talk about some stuff because we haven't caught up in so long. And then we're just like, okay, let's catch up and talk about process. Let's talk about our journey because we basically grew up together.
Yeah.
And then looking back, it's like how many years? It's like, bro, we remember
don't tell them how old I am. Yeah, they think I'm old.
She's not old, but you get the drift. You get the drift. But like just looking back, right? And from the days where we used to like live, we used to come to you guys' house, like I'm on the swing.
And that swing,
right?
A legendary swing.
It's crazy because like, you know, we've gone through all of this time, growing up, wanting to be something.
Yeah.
And where we are now.
And intersecting at some point. We went to the same uni.
Yeah, we went to Covenant University together, right? And we've always been, oh, like, you know, this is my cousin, this is my big cousin, this is my cousin.
Literally, it's to schedule dates, like, just so I could, and I'm so grateful for that, to get me comfortable with the school. It's such a weird environment if I didn't have you, and Funto, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just very, very interesting, right? So where I'll start from is, you know, we'll go back to like the childhood. Did you see yourself?
No, let's start with this. Like, what did you think of me as a child? Like, was I like a regular one or a weirdo?
Of course, you're weird. And that's not in a bad way. So I'll interface with this. We, right, the Owonis, we're Ajapako. we're hardcore kids, you know. We're going through it, right? It was crazy. On the other hand, Sophie and has a family. They were butty. They were like the soft. They were not living too far from us, but they were like, you know, they travel for the holidays. They had like swing in their house. Like they even had a compound. Like it was just, so every time we wanted to go on a mini holiday, we'll go to Sophie's house.
It was so exciting, guys. Like,
and that was like the only place that daddy and mom used to allow us really go.
True. Same here, actually.
Yeah. We didn't really go anywhere else. Like, oh, you cannot go to that person's house. Okay, let's go and see Dami. Okay, can go and see Dami. Because it wasn't far away.
I'm Dami, by the way.
Yeah, she's Dami. All right. So it wasn't far away, and then you know we just got to experience, you know, a very good. So we literally grew up together.
Same here. Remember those summer lessons that you guys had? And I told my mom I must go for.
Yeah, summer
like lessons.
God, these are the days, man. These are the days.
And that was like secondary school, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. But so going back to this thing. So yeah, I think she was very weird, but because you know there was money. So, but we were not weird because, you know, we're just hustling. I
feel like Ayo is like Ajepako in a way. She's not as weird.
No, so you know Ayo likes to tough it out.
Yeah.
Ayo is a tough kid. Ayo is her younger sister. But Sophie is very butty. She actually embraced that butty behavior, which is cool.
I'm a laid back fellow. I'm not going to seek. Okay, not everywhere.
I don't know about that. But okay, so when you were younger, right? What did you aspire to be? What do you think you were going to do? Wait. Before that, I remember what you said. But go.
So many things. Oh my goodness. I don't know. At some point I wanted to be a pilot. At another point I wanted to be a lawyer, and then I wanted to be a neurosurgeon after.
Wait, pediatric neurosurgeon. That was first in my head when I said, what is this? Me with my Paco brain, I could not comprehend what is a pediatric neurosurgeon. I had no understanding, right? For those of you that don't know, a pediatric neurosurgeon is basically a surgeon who operates on kids. Pediatric, kids, neurosurgeon, brain, so children's brain, which is a very noble profession. But keep going.
Yes, and honestly, I was like shooting for that, and then after a while, I changed again, and I wanted to be an engineer, which is not exactly, I'm not practicing right now, but I am an engineer, so go figure. But yeah, I think I had to go through all of those processes to, you know, firstly educate me. And that's why I think I know a little bit about like those professions. And then of course it led me to where I am now, and who knows where I'm gonna go.
From here.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so that's a good base, right?
How about you?
Me? I think there was a time I wanted to be, what was this, aeronautic engineer, because it was catchy.
Yes,
you know, I'm gonna be an aeronautic engineer. If you don't know, once again, an aeronautic engineer is someone like an engineer who works on aircrafts, planes, jets, whatever it is, builds them, works on them, whatever, like the whole 9 yards. So when I was I heard it one time, I was like, okay, I'm going to be an aeronautic engineer. Now, which is something I kind of like pursued until I got to Covenant University, where I actually, those dreams, where I actually enrolled to become a mechanical engineer. And I was mechanical engineering for a while. Until I was like, I don't know about this. And then in my very first year, maybe. In my very first year, I was like, okay, no, not mechanical engineering. Let me go and do IT, because it was ICT. But I was like, this mechanical engineering thing, technical drawing. I didn't do technical drawing in secondary school. So I was
Same
like,
here. It was really hard, like our first 2 years.
I don't know about this, and I'm going to be doing all of this drawing. Nah, I don't think so. Anything that will make me escape this drawing, I'm going to do it. So I potted.
You escaped after 200 level, though.
No.
No?
Yeah, no. Before matriculation, I escaped too. Eh?
No, I mean the drawing.
Oh, the drawing. Oh, yeah, valid. But I mean, I'll take 2/5.
True.
So I ran away, and then my dreams of becoming an aeronautic engineer went up in flames. Literal smoke. And I was like, okay, now what am I going to do? I had no idea what I was going to do in my life. Absolutely no idea. I just knew I was going to go to school, finish, and we'll see. So I was never at the point where I was like, oh, like, what do you want to be? And I'm like,
it was like vibes.
I don't know. I try to walk. I was trying to do something in my life.
He's a hard worker, guys. Such a hard worker.
Try. You know the vibes. You guys don't know. You don't
even know the half of it, trust me.
So, all right. So we went from there, graduated, and then what was next for you?
Oh my goodness. So let's talk about pre-graduation, because I think I got into like this, like some people call it seasonal depression, but it wasn't related to the climate. Like my fourth year in school, I worked really hard, guys, super hard, my first semester. And then I was just completely dissatisfied with the grades that I had. And then it was, of course, a lot of things were happening at the same time. You know how like life intersects with school and then everything. But then I really decided, I was like, I need to focus on me. And part of focusing on me is to understand what I want to do after this year, because my 5th year was coming. I mean, after your 4th year, you go out into the wild. I call it IT. And then for like 6 to 8 months, and then you gather like experience, resources, you meet people, and it would help your army for your 5th year because you have like projects to do. So that's when I really started to think deeply and try to figure out what my strengths were. So I started asking a lot of questions. I was very fortunate to have amazing people around me. I mean, my cousin is super amazing. And you know, friends and mentors, and eventually I ended up in DPR, which is Department of Petroleum Resources. And for a chemical engineer, I was studying chemical engineering, and we basically deal with everything after it's gotten out of the well, right? Or the reservoir. But they put me in upstream, and I was with a fellow friend of mine, shout outs to AY, and we're both doing chemical engineering. We're like, do we go and ask to be posted to downstream or gas? And then we're like, you know what? We might as well learn. And so we stuck with upstream, and while we're doing upstream, we're checking out other areas, and I got to interface with like the geologists and the economists and the reservoir engineers, and of course we went to the downstream. And I realized that the first question I'll ask is, see, how are we making this money? Like, after all of the processes, you know, the drawings, who is funding this, and how do we make sure that we can eventually make profit out of this? And so like people started to, the people I was talking to, they were like, you do know that this is a very viable portion, and you can also leverage off of your knowledge of economics and then engineering into other industries and branch out. And I'm really grateful for my supervisor at the time, because he said a chemical engineer is a universal engineer, and a universal engineer can work anywhere, whether in a bank or in space or whatever. So stop thinking out of the four corners of the oil and gas industry, which, you know, for an average Nigerian engineer is the dream. So I took the feedback and the advice, and then my 5th year, we had 2 final year projects, because, you know, when you're doing chemical engineering, you must suffer. Like, just they have to raise it to the power of 2 of everything, right? And for research project, that was really great, you know, with my internship. But then for the design, you are like in a team of 11 or 10 people, also your course mates, and you're meant to build or design a plant from scratch. And so there are like different aspects of the plant, but once you get the feed and processes, who's going to fund it? Who's going to make sure that it continues to churn revenue? So there's the economics part of it. To even make sure that the project is viable, you need technical knowledge, right? And so that was the portion that I, you know, led in like the project. Fortunately enough for me and my team members, who are all great and doing great things right now. So we're at the point of our defense. You know how the lecturers are, like, they want to just rile you up, like they want to prove to you that you did not do it. Even though you slaved hours to do it. And so like we're asking questions, and then of course like after a while it just became like a him versus me thing, and I kept speaking, and at some point like another person at the panel was like, Sophie, don't say anything again, let the rest of your team say stuff. And that's when I also realized that of course like communicating was a big deal for me.
Okay, so wait, so now touching on that communication piece, right? So the whole summary, like, you know, for that was kind of like pre graduation. So you went from there, you discovered like you had a strength.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, good. So peg that, and then. But
also seeing that it's a strength, because I thought everybody could do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for someone to point it out, it was, you know, an add-on.
So now you discovered you had a strength, right? And then you decided, like, maybe after like the whole this thing, like, okay, like, you know, I'm going to hone into this strength, right? But then, what does process? Number one, what does process mean to you?
Process means, it's again, I'm gonna explain it in like a technical thing. There's an outline, like a flow, and then you follow it, and then that's the process, right? So you have an objective or a goal, and then there are steps that take you there, and you must outline them because they have to be definite, and they have to be realistic, like goal setting, but in any kind of area, and then you follow that path. Or multiple paths, like, you know how in the flow diagram, if you don't go this, either or, then you go or. But eventually leads you to the end, which is your objective. So that for me is process. Okay.
So on your way, right, you graduated, like, you know, you kept moving on different places.
I graduated, but to graduate and then iterate, putting all of those qualities that I now found out that I had to develop them. So there were things I had to do to even get better, and they were not anything that was taught in class, unfortunately at that time. All right, so TED Talks. I listen to a lot of TED Talks, Toastmasters, like you said, you know, how to deliver. I watched a lot of podcasts, still do till this day. I read quite a number of non-fiction books. Fiction helps, but then again, non-fiction is very straight to the point and realistic. And again, you remember I started to think in the sense of like a business person, so understanding economics was important. But I figured out that I really liked history, and so things tend to repeat themselves.
Facts,
so we had
very valid.
back to like history portions, and that helped me understand economics more. And like the law of demand and supply can be super abstract, but when you can then apply it to things that have happened in the past, then it makes sense to you, and you know, breaks up to you. So yeah. So
all right, okay. So that makes a lot of sense. So you discovered you had strengths, which at the time you didn't know were strengths. For example, me now, the things that come naturally to me, just like you didn't even know at the time. That I'm like, oh, like, you know, everybody should be able to do it.
Yeah.
I could write you a 100-page book, like on something. I used to run a blog. And I used to write, oh my God, you write too. Everybody can write. We all went to, so to me, I'm like, we all went to school, we all learned how to write. So invariably, everybody can put words together and make something that's actually very good to read, that people want to read. Or
your writing is captivating and compelling.
That's the thing I didn't know. So apparently, I know how to tell stories.
Yeah.
Everybody can write. I mean, every literate can write and read. But are you a storyteller? Not everyone is a storyteller. So everyone can put like words together, but not everyone is a storyteller. And I think, like you said, you discovered you had a strength, but then you also, like, you know, poured into it to actually build it into something more, into like something more refined.
Absolutely.
You get me? Now,
something that is my signature.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is something that I learned from someone like a mentor of mine was telling me that he can tell the spiritual father of a pastor just by listening to a person's message, because sometimes for people that haven't gotten to their signature, they tend to sound exactly
verbatim,
like that. And so, like, for me, it's super important to be authentic, right? Because that's the only thing that will make you interested in me. So just to make sure that it is my own version of excellence. That makes a lot of sense, because, like, you know, you talked about Toastmasters, talked about, like, you know, TED Talks, all of those things. The more you hone those skills, the better you become, right? And then when if you stop pouring into those skills, you discover that you go back to the base version of like where you used to be. All right. So we've talked about, like, you know, identifying. So in the whole process, it makes sense that identifying like your strengths is one of the most important things, because from the point, you know, there's this scripture that says, there's a scripture, I'll summarize it because I don't remember the verbatim. But we're talking about be not hearers only, but doers of the word. That means don't just listen to the word, but do it. He said, because those people that just hear and don't do it, they're like people who go look into a mirror, and then once they turn away from the mirror, they actually forget what they look like. Imagine if you're a lady, you're going on a date, and you did your makeup, put your makeup. That's a lot of work.
You can know. But then you do your makeup, but instead of using like a red lipstick, you mistakenly put like green. Right? Maybe because the green you're supposed to do like maybe your eyeshadow or something. I don't know who uses green eyeshadow, but you know, get the drift. Elves. This is why I say she's weird. You guys can see it's going to be coming out small, but she's a weird person. Very good. So elves, right? So you put a green lipstick instead of a red one. You look into the mirror, you're like, oh, I used green, I'm going to change this. But then immediately you turn away from the mirror, you forget they actually have a green lipstick on, but you have a red. You think you have a red because you've forgotten what you looked at in the mirror. And then you walk away, you go on the date, and as guys, the guy's like, give me 1 minute, I'm going to go to the restroom, I'll be back. And the guy never comes back. And you're like, what happened? And everybody looking at you like,
men are scum.
That's a topic for another day. But the guy was like, why do you look weird? And then you go back to the mirror, like, oh my God, I didn't clean this thing. That's exactly what it is. When you identify your strengths, and then you don't build them, then you even forget they were strengths in the first place. the whole process starts with identification.
Absolutely.
Knowing that, okay, I have this thing that not everybody can do this thing. That's what's going to set you apart. Like, okay, I know this person that might be able to, everybody's looking for a job, everybody's looking for this thing, but like your gift of relationships, there are many things that your strengths that come naturally to you, that you can pull a room together and actually bond people together. Not everybody can do that. Everybody like, I beg, I'm shy, can you do this thing?
Yeah.
And like, wait, why are you shy? But that's your own strength. That's not the time to be asking people why they can't do it, but be like, okay, this is my time to shine. Like, this is actually my time to step forward, right? So identification is the first step in the process on the way to success, right? Then refining that. Yeah, because you find gold, you find oil, but like in the raw form is not the best to use. You have to refine it.
And you don't even know the value. Like there's this adage where someone pulled out a rock from the ground and then went to value it, and it was valued at say 500, and then he went to a person, or maybe a jeweler, and then they refined it, and then it was worth like 10 times more. Then he went to another jeweler that made it specifically into like jewelry, whether it was a ring or something, and it was worth a lot more, right? So that's just the beauty about refining. And same goes into the oil and gas industry. Just pull out petrol from the ground. It's probably, I mean, how much is oil, quote unquote? It's probably less than $10. I'm sorry guys, I haven't checked in a long while. But then when you compare it to like the finished, hey, you see the problems here. But then when you turn it into like well-finished products, I'm talking about bitumen that you use for the road construction, it's worth significantly more, right? So that's the beauty about refining. It's a never-ending goal. Yeah,
and it seems like the more well-refined you are, like the better your. For example, I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, and it was Alibaba on the Honest Bunch podcast.
I know that one.
Yeah, and it was talking about people were like, Alibaba, that you don't do shows as much anymore, or you don't do all of these things anymore. And he was like, when Dangote wants to do a show, do they call you? So now, if I want to do birthday, I don't have Alibaba money, so I won't invite him. So he's so refined. He's refined his skill to a level where it is the 1% of the 1% that actually say, hey, I'm going to have a this thing for my wife. I want you to host it. There's a level you go a little bit and you be like, oh, it's basket mouth, I want to host it.
Absolutely.
You go another level, you be like, oh, the pencil or whoever it is, like, oh, I want you to host it. There's a level you get to, you say, oh, SLK. Like, you keep going. The more you refine it, the more you pour into your craft and your strength, like the sky is literally like
you're
the limit.
Limitless.
Yeah. And one day you stand in front of the queen. Even the Bible says, "Says that a man diligent in his work, he will stand before kings, and not before men." It means that when you first start, you be. Some people be like, I know this guy, and I know you, Nana. We went to Covenant together. When now people like, for example, right? You see people on social media be like, me and this person were classmates. You go explain. There's no evidence. There's no evidence that people were classmates because this person has refined their skills so much. And this is not a dig at you. It's to tell you that the strengths that you have, if you look and you're able to introspect, you can actually also refine your skills to a point where people are not saying, that guy was my classmate, I know him. And you'll be like, I remember you.
Point of reference that is good.
That is good. Do you get? All right. So we've talked about two very important things now. All right. Now we take that back again, and then we continue on that journey. Okay. But now we go from the future.
Yes.
Right. So now looking back at the journey, at the process, were there times where you were like, you know what? I'm done with this. Right? I can't take this anymore because like I'm not even seeing, like they always say there's light at the end of the tunnel.
The tunnel was pretty long.
Someone said, what if the light at the end of the tunnel is a train that wants to jam you? Another angle. So were there times where, and you can give us maybe one example, very briefly, of times where you're like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like I don't see like where this is going leading to.
Okay, thank you, Funcha. So oh my goodness, I can cite a point. My first year after I started on my job at HB was a graduate internship, and I was like I don't want to call it a takeover. We call it an organizational restructuring.
Okay.
And it pretty much rendered a lot of people without a role, including me and my manager. Yeah. And at that time, same time, I had like a minor bike accident, so I couldn't really go into work. I had, again, anyone that has recovered from an injury understands how it works. And so I was like, God, like maybe I should have just gone for my master's. I mean, I could have been doing environmental engineering in Britain or somewhere, you know, and at least that one has a course. The world is going into renewable energy or whatever. But I don't know, I had faith because again, you also have to have this understanding and path of a supreme being that you follow. I really, really trust in God, right? And He is literally the author and finisher of my faith. And so I spoke to Him and I felt calm. And so again, I kept on doing what I was doing, but it wasn't giving me as much fulfillment because to what end is all of this happening? They have no one that you're reporting to. They're bringing someone from Dubai to come and has never met you, doesn't know you. You've also heard certain things. So it was tough, but I think the great thing again is a community. I could speak with my colleagues that you know were either in similar baskets or whatnot, and I think I would also make sure I open my mouth.
Close mouth, close
I remember when they announced it, and I literally asked. I think whether it was my manager or somebody on my team asked, "Well, what is the major thing?" I was like, I would just really like to know what happens with me, like what happens with the graduate program, because that's one of the things you're gonna be like, oh yeah, doesn't exist anymore.
No, just won't scrap them.
And it happened, but again, the fact that I opened up my mouth, maybe that's what also put my name in that person's mind, because it's leading me to a point. So there's a new team and there are new roles and they need to fill them, right? And of course, there's always this experience factor that happens, but then when people know you, they trust in your potential. Yeah, true. And that's why you need sponsors and you need mentors. And so apparently, my new manager at the time that had just been put into this region was looking for someone good with numbers. He was looking for an analyst. I did engineering. I did not do business analysis. But again, it goes into refining, right? I would always ask questions. I'll look at the data and try to make sense of it. That's how I process data. I try to see what the point of the data is and how I can apply. So apparently the person I even asked that first question to was also in the room, and then my manager was thinking of hiring someone from Morocco because it was an Africa role. And then she was like, you have somebody sitting in the Nigerian office that's good with numbers. Again, diversity and equity. She's female, so it's gonna add to your DE and I index and all of that. And apparently he was like, So I was literally on sick leave because of my leg. Then I got an email on my phone saying, okay, hi, my name is this, I'm gonna need this data and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. I'm meant to work. No worries. So I did it, and then he called me right away. Apparently that was like my test. That was like my interview. Because the conversation leading after just told me all the things that I'm going to need to do in the coming weeks. And then of course we had to do the legalities with HR, but that was literally how I landed my second role. Okay, so we'll pause there. That's so profound, right? And I say that because she was speaking. It seems that there's a competence piece, but there's a faith piece. And there's the faith piece has to do with God and has to do with men, right? There are rooms you can't step into, but there are people that have access to those rooms. Those people can speak your name in those rooms where you have no access. And they're like, okay, there's a scripture that says when the time of Joseph came, he says, I think the word went out and the king sent for him and loosed him. If you know the story of Joseph in the scriptures, is that he was in the prison with two people who the king himself sent to the prison. I think the butler and the chief baker or cupbearer. Yeah. So it was like he told this one, it was like,
you are going to, this one is going to die. You are going to die. You don't have any business. He said, you. He said, the king is going to release you coming days from now or something. He said, but please, when you get to the palace, tell the king that I'm here. Oh.
Yeah.
I did not do anything. No, I'm here. I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
That guy went and that guy forgot him.
Look at him.
Now, just like what she was saying, the son that's like just reached out and said, wait, do you have somebody on your team? Oh? That can be able to do this thing. Oh? And these are the benefits of putting this person in this pole position to do this thing. You couldn't have spoken for yourself.
You couldn't.
And why did this person think of me? And this is why faith, right? So the third piece in this process is your faith. Everybody believes in something. Everybody believes in something. That's why people that don't believe in a God, they use their money to incentivize, like, okay, who can I pay? Who? Like, because mammon, your money is actually a God. It can actually make changes happen in the earth.
We're built to worship.
So you're worshiping something, right? So you didn't have that. You didn't pay anybody. You didn't bribe anybody. You did not do anything that people do in corporate to get ahead, right? Nobody said, okay, like if you want this promotion, you have to do this. There's none of that. But you believed that God, I'm in your hands. I'm almost down and out. I don't know what my life looks like. But I believe that there's something that you can do. And God came through for you.
Yeah.
Literally. All right. So the third piece. So we've gone through 3, right? So identifying your potential, refining your potential. The third process is your faith, because you're going to be tested.
Very much so.
In this long journey, we are still young. If we go as we are 50, how many times that test will come? The people that get laid off, that's their own test, their own trial period. How much faith do you have, and how do you come up from that difficult situation? Because you need to remember, on every step, if you quit, that's where you're going to be. Like I said in my last video, without commitment, you cannot start. But without consistency, you cannot finish. You cannot see any real growth if you don't continue. If at that point they say, the graduate training program is over officially, and you're like, okay, now let me go and do my environmental this thing. You don't know how far.
Exactly.
It's just always be, what if? What if I was still here? What if? But if you have something that you can be like, I'm going to keep going. Let's see how deep this rabbit hole goes, literally.
Yes.
You get it? All right. Okay. So now, you tell us, what do you do actually? This is a boss, so this is my this is my boss. So what do you do? And
okay.
Now we'll now do like a holistic view. You tell us what you do, and the whole process from what you wanted to do, and what do you think you'll have been more fulfilled doing?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So go.
The test of time. So what I do at the moment, I am a category manager. I manage the home printing solutions aspect of the business.
Which business?
HB. Hewlett Packard Incorporated, and I do it for a number of countries, 19 countries, mostly within East Africa, English-speaking Western Africa, and some portion of Central Africa. So yeah, what I do is a bunch of stuff. We manage the 4 P's of the business, and you know this from economics, right? Price, place, promotion, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying it.
And the product, you know it. He just
Bro,
knows
I'm a fake person.
Maybe you should give me business plan that way. Your investors give me trillions of dollars.
Oh, Sabino.
Well, yes. So basically, that again, it's not just going into the office and doing the same thing every day. It's you're touching. And again, I realized that I was doing again further studies in economics. That it extends to the 7 P's. So there's a portion that branches out into marketing, especially when you're talking about the promotion or the placement of the product. When you talk about price, you're really also looking at the profit and loss. So what we call the P&L. Make sure that you're actually making profit and revenues at the same time. And again, the product, this is where again my engineering comes into play, because I'm trying to figure out why this works, what makes it work, what are the features that will attract anybody to purchase, how can I make it a unique selling point, right? How can I embrace this and also make it fun, because again, going back to your authenticity and going to the communications aspect, it's selling, it's sales. You're gonna have to talk a lot in different forms. So I give presentations, I talk about the products, I speak with the partners, I speak with my amazing and experienced colleagues that also, you know, look into the different aspects of the market, like retail, commercial, and even like contractual sales when you talk about the end users. So it's literally looking at the 4 Ps and the entire business, but from a top-down approach. So you have a very high-level view, and you see how the different pieces run together to actually make the business work. That's the part that I love the most, because it has to do with strategy and planning.
Nice.
And these are things I also realized that are significant strengths from my previous roles. I just, you keep on refining, and you add it up and you add it up, and execute.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So before you answer the next one, I want to ask you, just talk a little bit about what you said about, like, you know, previous roles and picking up strengths from different things, picking up life experiences. I once worked in a place, this man was paying me, was it 4,800 per month?
Wow, oh God.
2,400 per month. At the time, that salary wasn't even up to my commute fee, like for a week. Thank God Daddy was giving me like pocket money.
Yeah.
It wasn't up to my commute, but I was going. Daddy would be like, just go. You know, go there. Go there. I was like, bro, I don't need to be doing this thing. Like literally, I don't need to be doing this thing. But I was like, okay, I'm just going to show up. Those kind of, like those things, like in this face of no evidence, like profiting, like how committed are you to actually working? Some of these things, it wasn't even for that work. It was the people I met there.
Yes.
Do you get so sometimes you're in a place and to you you're like, this work is you're seeing too little. Sometimes because of the people, it's because of the relationships. Those are the people that they don't look like anything now, but they said they are going somewhere and they're going to arrive there before you.
Yeah.
Right? I'll give an example. People said this, I did the quote Bible too much. But I'll give another example. Now, Joseph had a couple of brothers, right? And Joseph was going to go to Egypt before them. Joseph, this same Jesus that I talked about, was going to be a king, or was going to be like the person in charge of the whole Egypt. Because there was a famine that was coming. There was not going to be food in Israel. So literally, even though they sailed him to slavery, what God was doing was God was putting him in pole position to save a country. When they came, eventually, when the full circle moment came, he forgave them because it was like, people meant this thing for bad. But God was actually putting as providence to actually save, you know, you people, my father, you, my brothers, all of you, the whole country, literally, and save them. So there are people you come across in your life that may not look like much. This is why I like people and I value people a lot.
Yeah, people are so important.
But they are going somewhere, literally. They are going to get there before you. Those are the people that are going to open the door for you when you get there. Because there are doors you cannot enter except somebody inside speaks for you. There's one of my favorite preachers. He will say, there are landlords that you cannot pray against. Like, there are people you cannot pray against. You just pray for grace for them to like you.
Yeah.
For example, I can't pray against your landlord. That's his house. You must pay your rent.
Absolutely.
If the landlord say, "Okay, where's my rent?" But the landlord say, "I like you. You're like a daughter to me. You're like a son to me." Don't pay rent for like 3 years until you get stable. Instead of you praying that God, let my landlord, let something happen to him so he doesn't remember. The landlord will remember his rent. But what you can pray for is grace for this man to be like, I like you. Don't worry. You're like my son now. Just stay here. There are people that happens to. So you must make sure that in this journey of life, you also value human relationships, because people make the world run. Yoruba people say this quote. They say, Dodon dawa, Dodon dawa. They say, Dodon koi dawa. Meaning that, you're saying things are happening. Things are not just happening. It's people that make things happen. You're a manager, you're like, you know, a HPS manager, like, you know, and you're doing all of these big things. These printers are not selling themselves. You know, year-end planning, it's not just planning itself.
No.
It's people that are in the boardroom actually deciding what product is going to market, how are we doing all of these things. People make the world run. And if you ignore people, your progress is going to, is not going to go very far, basically.
It's going to be slow.
It's going to be slow until you realize, someone on this earth for 600 years, before you realize that, wait.
All my life I've had to fight.
I know, they say if you have to pay for everything that you need, you're suffering.
True.
Because how are people helping you? Like how people say, don't worry, I'll pick up that for you. Like, don't worry about it.
I still get amazed this day. I'm honestly like humbled. Like this trip particularly, people have traveled miles to just see me, right? And I'm like, is it little
me?
Little me. It means so much to me, right? Yeah. And just like you said, like someone picking your bill, and like my dad sent me 5,000 naira credit the other day. I was like, I should kneel down on the floor. Because like you thought of me. Yeah. Thank you.
And that's the thing, like if you value people, you know, people can tell. And then you don't even have to beg for stuff, right? Yeah. Okay, so we talked about 4 things now. In case you didn't pick up, people in your progress, in your process journey, people are so important.
So important.
Almost as important as God, because God has to use people to bless you.
Absolutely.
That's literally the protocol for blessings. God uses people. So we mentioned God first, but people. That's why I say, let your good works so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. So if you have bad attitude and you're like,
bad behavior.
You have bad behavior. You have bad behavior. And people don't want to help you, or more, it's going to be very hard, you know, for anything to happen. So, yeah. All right, so, sorry. Okay, we're back. Now,
after the break, commercial break.
After the commercial break, we had a small commercial break.
So many adverts. You have to make revenue for this.
You too, pay me my money.
I beg you.
All right. So, now, this is the last question. Just briefly, tell us, which career path do you think you'll have been more fulfilled? If you're the pediatric neurosurgeon of your childhood and now living what you're living, traveled, you're like, of course you're well traveled, like, you know, you're going to all these places, you have all these responsibilities, you have all this respect from, like, you know, industry experts, like, you know, giving speeches, doing amazing stuff. And being like, you know, that pediatric neurosurgeon, which of course you'll have also been big.
Exactly.
Because greatness is within you.
It's a you thing.
Yeah, so greatness is within you. Which one do you think, you know, you'll have been like, yeah, look back and be like, yeah, the quality of life that I want to live, the time I want to have with my family, like all of those things, like a well-rounded life, where do you think you'll have been more fulfilled?
So if I was a pediatric neurosurgeon, I would just be coming out of my housemanship. Right? Because housemanship is probably 3 years. And I would probably also want international certification. So I'm going to go again for more years. But again, going back to fulfillment, I'm sure if I would still think that this is what I was born to do. And again, I was telling somebody the other day that you need to be in love with your passion for it to take you far, because there are many things that will stop you, and you need to be in love with it actually to not be deterred by that. And one of the main reasons I did not pursue neurosurgery is the fact that I saw an accident one day, and it was a really fatal accident in Lagos now. So a bike rider carrying maybe more than 2 people collided with a truck. So brains were on the floor, literally brain matter, and I was shaking so much. I was crying. I was completely destabilized. And I thought, I'm gonna be in the ER like every other day. Is this really the kind of trauma I want to put myself through? Because you also have to look at your temperament. I am super sensitive, and in this way I can not quite remove it, but it's not going to be determined. I can do my business, I can think analytically, and that's it. Like it's like a surgery for me. It's a surgical precision for me. But I don't think I would have been, it might have taken me longer to be as effective if I did neurosurgery, because there were things I needed to work on and deal with that would have taken time.
I feel you. So that's very, I like that perspective. That's very, very valid. Being in love with your passion and, you know, being able to introspect. You know, a lot of people cannot introspect, right? A lot of people just go through life like they don't know what it takes to, like, you know, get to where they're trying to get to, and don't know like the most reasonable way to get there. But it makes a lot of sense, like how you explained it now. That okay, yeah, like if you're doing something, you have to feel like, oh, I was born to do this thing, and I'm going to do this thing, you know. And then you see another path that opens up, because I always say this thing: you have one life to.
Yes.
But if you live it well enough, once is enough.
Yeah.
Once is enough. So in this one life, you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things. You can do whatever you want to do.
I literally, at my friend's place, someone had an asthma attack, and I have experience with that. And I was taking care of her, significantly older. I didn't even know that she had like medical experience, right? So like managed that, you know, helped her and everything. And then she was like, so are you going to do nursing? At this age. And then literally, like, my friend's mom comes and she's like, Sophie Budo, she not seeing a be doctor, because the way, and I was like, if I just listen to everybody, how can I be everything? Like,
maybe you still try that neurosurgery. Maybe let God speak.
God speak. Okay. You see, I'm accepting whatever you say, Lord. and maybe I don't know how I'm gonna apply all this revenue into like the medical practice, but we'll see.
Maybe it should be you have your own practice.
Okay. Just need to keep me long enough for that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you know, I think it's been a very well-rounded, interesting conversation. We really hope that you've picked one or two things from all of this.
We're very vulnerable here.
Yeah, we didn't even plan to like go like this deep into it.
Yeah.
But we feel like you've picked 1, 2, 3, 4 things like from this and just run with it. As the year is starting out, I thought that talking about the process, journey, because when you look at where you are, you say, I don't know where to start from. I don't even know if this is what I want to do. I just give you very, very easy steps and easy things to identify on your way. You know, look into your life. What can I actually do? What do I enjoy doing? And how can I take this, refine it, build my relationships with people, trust in God.
And while you're building your relationships with people, it's very important to not make it look transactional. It's so important.
Of all the languages in the world, Sophie chose to speak facts. Facts!
No, because it's true. The most authentic and effective relationships come from just shared interests. And it's not, I need to be this because
because people pick up on that kind of BS.
They can, yes.
People are not as stupid as you think.
And no one wants to feel used.
No one wants to feel used. A lot of people be like, good morning, bro. Don't good morning me. I know where you're going. I know where you're going without good morning. Don't finish. It's not good morning yet. No good morning if you're messaging me. Do you get a lot of people, and there's that culture of using people and then just dumping them and coming back months later and be like, bro. And I hate when I feel like I was trying to be genuine. And I'll give you an example as a wrap up. This very good colleague at work. Like when I was applying to my job, it was really helpful, blah, blah, blah. So every year I try to like, touch base with him when I'm doing my celebration for my anniversary. Like, you have 2 years at your job. I reach out to him like, hey, like, I just want to appreciate you again, blah, blah, blah. So I was looking through a job change and I wanted to change to his organization. And I reached out to him and like, I want to talk. He was like, it was really helpful. He was really excited to help me, right? And then he sent me all of this thing, but procrastination. I didn't now use most of the information I sent me because work became so hectic. And I'm a consultant, so I didn't have time.
Finish it. Consulting engineer.
Please.
Girls.
By the time I finished, and was thinking about going back. You know, he even helped me with another stuff that was really very good. By the time I finished, I wanted to like message him. He didn't even respond. I said, here you go. This man would think that I was using back this thing, but I was actually just very, very busy, you know? So some of those things happen. So if you're not somebody that is deliberately trying to use people, like it's not a good, it doesn't have a good look, because they're like, look at this person that I'm trying to like even help. This person just wants to use and dump, and they'll come back when they just feel like, oh, yeah. So it's a very bad thing. But
yeah, make people feel like, especially when you're in their presence, make them feel like you are genuinely interested in them. And the only way to do that is to be genuinely interested in them.
You can't fake it.
Don't fake it.
You can't fake it for so long. Like maybe if you first meet him, you might succeed. But after a while, like I know that I can sense BS when I see it. Like this thing is not genuine.
The older you get, the easier it is to catch that.
Yeah, you just be like, this guy, like you should see a youngin, like this thing that you think you're doing. I've seen it 10 miles out. You know. So be genuinely interested, like Sophie said. Don't think you're smart and you can use people and just people always pick up on that kind of thing. So we hope that this episode has been great. Please tell them to subscribe.
Please subscribe.
So they don't like my voice.
I know they like it now. Your voice is fine. Please subscribe. Oh, please.
Subscribe, share.
That's the way to follow the ladder to heaven.
Hey, not heaven, no, please. No. I don't know about heaven, but this year we must go up. That's another process we are taking, you know, this consistency.
And he puts in so much work into this, guys, like just to make the experience amazing for you and for him. Please subscribe.
Thank you. Please subscribe. All right, so subscribe, like, share. If you found anything of value, please let me know what you feel in the comment section. I'll be reading it and, you know, answering any questions that you have. Really appreciate. And I know it has been a very long episode, but I know that, you know, you guys are picking gems that Sophie is dropping, and you know,
and doing,
you know, I'll be dropping gems. Standard, that's fact. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you I'll see you because she'll not be here. But if she's ever around again, like
I will be. You say ever?
No, like
you're gonna be able to get rid of me?
Well,
how?
Deuces. All right, bye.